Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The School of Love. My name is Maria, and I'm helping people discover their inner potential for love towards oneself and towards the others. Today, I invite you to a new episode from the series My Thoughts on Various Phenomena. And today, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on social media and the increasing alienation of regular men in the so-called cyberspaces, which is, in my humble opinion, a very worrying phenomenon. The seclusion into the digital world of virtual encounters appears in most cases as an intermediate means to cope with newly emerged historical practices. It undermines the traditional transmitted self-evidence of male superiority and unquestioned power. The identification with exceptional characters coming from non-privileged backgrounds who manage to survive and thrive in the wide world, while simultaneously avoiding the capitalist standards of success, such as money, status, sex, and who therefore display a carefully crafted surrogate image of what a man should be, seems to offer to male participants in the cyber universe a gate to a parallel space in which the access to recognition and validation comes without the often inevitable byproduct of failure and rejection, or at least not openly, publicly humiliating. In their work, Evil Media, from 2012, Matthew Fuller and Andrew Guffey argue that as a consumer of digital information in the proliferation of the all-encompassing media, one can either become an instrument of a multitude of big brothers dispersed across virtual spaces, or an agent of change. There is a profoundly disturbing dimension in this ethical challenge each of us, quotidian consumers of digital media, face every day. Comfortable at submission and indifference, or respect and compassion for absent others. It is this clash of two opposite flows in the existential formation and ongoing information that confronts man, and which leads inevitably to what Michael Kimmel labels aggrieved entitlement, so typical for the so-called toxic masculinity of late modernity within the patriarchal white hegemonic framework. There is the natural, biologically ingrained instinct to protect and provide, and there is a permanent input of violence and rage, motivated or not, which permeates the daily experience of boys and men. I argue, though, that most men, instead of directly targeting those around them as possible outlets for their pent-up anger and frustration, prefer to withdraw from the real world into the virtual universe, where the three main competitors women face nowadays are located: online socializing, pornography, and video games. These three huge industries employ the virtual space and the digitalization of human lives as catalysts for financial growth, regardless of the impact they have on the individual well-being and, even more so, on social structures. Not being a netizen myself, and therefore not being an active member of the cyber society, it felt at times somewhat challenging to empathize with my counterparts' enthusiasm for new apps, programs, platforms, future developments, and the differences to all the products. Very soon, though, it became obvious that the more questions I asked, the more my discussion partners would explain, and their willingness to open up towards me would increase and deepen. empathic listening, dynamic asking of questions, and then allowing them the freedom to answer at their own pace worked wonders and provided me with information I would have never expected, and with insights which showed me the freedom, fascination, and perceived kindness of the virtual world as a viable alternative to the cruelty and superficiality of the real world. The more profound issue is, of course, to what extent the immersion and rejection of life in here and now of the real physical world is in fact a sustainable choice. While I think that for the current generation of grown-ups, aged 28 to 45, a turn in the relation to digital media on a personal level might come too late, I strongly believe that there is a lot we can do for the next generation. If we, the representatives of the X generation, act ethically in accordance to what benefits the world, as we actually should, and decide to serve as valid role models in the real world through solutions we consistently implement in our everyday life, we could offer alternative lifestyles and value systems by showing our successors the advantages of a responsible existence, regardless of the spaces we choose to live in. The way I see the current situation with online socializing, networking, entertaining, and male citizens increasingly withdrawing from the factual universe towards a fantasy one, mediated by digitalization and virtual reality, the solution is to bring the boys back home, as a popular American politician expressed it. Home is the immediate reality, with its beauties and miracles and its flesh and blood inhabitants. Digital media, online socializing and dating, as well as video games and cyber pornography, reinforced by mainstream media and prevalent relating practices advertised by them, cannot be reversed easily, precisely because they emerged on a specific historical background. The liberation of the individual citizen from the pressure of submitting to collective values and the permission to forge one's own trajectory in the world. Digital media and cyber distractions are here to stay. They are newly discovered coping mechanisms with the hardships and frustrations of life. Instead of panicking at the sight of their increasing power, the education of the consumers on the implications of their online activities is the more constructive approach. It is fundamentally important to gain awareness that on the other side of the plastic screen, there is a human being investing emotions and mental energy in their interactions. This is cognitive empathy, the ability to recognize on a rational level what another living entity feels in a particular moment. I strongly believe that a higher education standard on what digital media, as differentiated from mainstream media, mean in our lives will automatically lead to a higher degree of awareness on our own impact on the many invisible others floating in the cyberspace. It will force us to treat them more humanly. In fact, as one female citizen put it, to act as if we truly cared. Eventually, it all comes down to a sense of balance, as we all need balance in life. It might mean balance between freedom and belonging, between closeness and distance, between opening up and closing off. We all need the security of knowing deep down that in case of need, there is someone out there to hug us, while reassuring us that things will be just fine. Even during the darkest of times, they are still there, loving and appreciating us. One of the most toxic and popular lies the media are perpetuating obsessively is that we are, or we can become, or we must become self-sufficient, and viciously free. There is no such thing as absolute self-sufficiency in terms of human survival. We all need the others. Regardless of how independent or how self-reliant we think we are, needing other humans is a fundamental part of what makes us human. We need the others. We need their warmth, their love, their presence. We need their hugs and their good morning smiles. We need their existence to validate our existence. Living in the virtual world gives us the illusion of our instant immortality through the convenient display of others' disposability. But we forget that we are those others someone else out there thinks of as disposable. We need the real physical others for our own survival. Thank you for being there with me today. I'm looking forward to seeing you again very soon. Love and peace to you all.